Alright guys, I'm just out on the balcony. My tablet's decided it's had enough for the day and shut down. So it's what's that, 9 o'clock tonight? 9 o'clock? I think it's about 9 o'clock. Knocked on the head for work for today. Because I've charged my tablet, I'm taking the data off that at the minute. But I want to bring up, like I said, I've seen a few videos about people in their 50s worried about work, worried about what they're going to do next. I've got to admit, I would actually think about, do you want to go back to work? One of the great things about that come out of the COVID piece was people realising they didn't have to put up with the crap they were doing for a long time. Some went remote working, some realised they could cash in pensions, but many people could alter and change their lives for the better. You're probably sitting on an asset worth a small fortune if you've already paid your mortgage off. And one of the things I would recommend with that is actually assess what you want to do with it. Some people would keep their house because prices go up, but I can't see the UK keep going up simply because there's only so many people that pay the bills of everybody else. And I think a lot of the patience on those people are starting to wane now as well. My personal view is, if you got a fair old cash sum, have a look at rental markets overseas, have a look at the opportunities to actually retire early, have a look at the value of your property, and have a look at, if you cashed it in, what the bank could do with that money. Just to give you a little insight, I've got a fund in Vanguard at the moment that's doing about 14% a year. Next month is first annual, so it's performing well. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, which is what most people will say, because anything around economies or like governments can change. But one of the things I will say is, if you're in a predicament where you can't see the end of the tunnel, you have other options. You could cash out and move to the Philippines. The reason I like the Philippines is you can live a very simple life, basic house, have a fan, no aircon. Medical cover's a nightmare. I'll just say, I've got to admit, my view on it is, except if something serious happens, you may not be coming out the other end. And quite simply, for me, I accept that anyway. I'm not one that wants to be bimbling about with if something hits home. I want to make sure those problems don't become other people's problems. But that's a personal preference. My wife tells me off for it. But ultimately, you may be sat on a house that's worth, I don't know, £500,000, £250,000. If you can yield 25 grand a year out of an investment fund, or 20,000 a year, how old do you want to get to? If you've got 20 years left in you, it's enough to live on. Even with inflation, you can manage it. If you want to keep the nice, getting a new car every 3 years, keeping a big house and everything else, then it's not for you. But if you can live out of a backpack, if you can downsize and get to a point in life where you can just enjoy it, I'd pump the money into investments. Property is only good if you're going to cash it out. I know that one of my sons sat here anyway, but one of the things I want to say is, there is points where you've got to look for yourself. You know, if you're in a position where you can't go forward, you've got to sit and think about, do you take care of yourself? I've got to admit, for me, it's easy to do because the house is nearly paid. I'm not really fussed on things. The kids are okay, they're doing well. I wouldn't sell the house in my circumstance, but at the same time, I'm not struggling for work. But I have property here, I got property in the Philippines, I'm capable of generating money outside of the day-to-day markets. Hence, that's why I like having no mortgage or anything, because being sustainable, I can achieve quite easily. And I know it's not easy for everybody. The amount of people that give me flack is weird, because you get flack for people that can't do it, and then the people that can do it says, yeah, you gave me that drive to take the risk and do something. It worked, paid off. I did this. I went to the Philippines for the first time. I traveled. I've visited more countries. I've started my own business. Or you get feedback from both ends. But for me, to be perfectly honest, if you're in a situation where you've got equity in your house, I would seriously look at what your options are. Because even if you've got some mortgage left, how much are you going to cash out if you disappear out of the UK? How long does it have to run till your pension cuts it? Because if you're 50, there's probably not many years left that you need to pay into the system. Can you cash them in? If you pay it up so that you don't have to worry about getting enough, national insurance stamps, contributions. The reason I'm putting this video out there is the point is you may have more options than you think, and you may not be looking at all your options. I'm not a fan of releasing equity in the houses to these loan sharks or whatever. I'm more a case of dump and run. Cash out, move overseas, and go and enjoy life. But see what your banks can do, see how much money you've got, and take it from there. But seriously, for me, I don't plan on working for others in my 60s. That ain't happening. I'm probably going to be struggling at 55, because my patience these days with all the diversity, inclusive and equality stuff is waning as it is. When you have to tell people what they're supposed to do to come back to you with their half-baked responses, with an arrogant tone on it, because you've now explained what they should be asking you, but they didn't even know what the question was, it's painful. So from my perspective, I want out of it for that reason. I just don't want to deal with these people anymore. But at the same time, guys, you need to really, really look and see where you want to go, and focus on it. You may be focused on your job, thinking, well, I've only got this until I retire. Well, here's a fun fact. My dad retired and was dead within 4 years of his retirement. What did he work his entire life for? You've got equity sat in your property that you're going to give to someone else. Cash it in. Look after yourself first, because if you're stable, you can help others anyway. If you start getting your life in order in that way, where your financial is sustainable, etc., you may be able to help others out anyway. That's my thoughts anyway.